Explain the logic of the ice baths to me. In all honesty, I'm a person who's enjoyed having hot showers even
Yeah.
when the temperature outside is 45 degrees growing up.
Hmm.
So cold water baths for me is in general something which I'm averse to.
Yeah.
And now you're saying ice baths are good for me. So I just want to understand the pros that you kind of get from it.
So I think the general statement which is fair to make is that we've each become too comfortable being comfortable, right? Anthropologically, we have grown up over thousands of generations to live life where our body is constantly challenged. In fact, that is the stimulus for growth, right? The cessation of growth occurs when the same stimulus is being applied day in and day out. And we all see it every single day in any aspect of our lives. So, if growth has to occur with a challenge, then anything which challenges the organism to a point, a healthy point, something we call hormetic stress, i.e., healthy stress, is good for the organism. So, whether it's being exposed to heat, hence why people look at the appreciation and benefits of sauna and steam therapies, whether it's the immersion in cold water, whether it's intermittently fasting, and there are many, many examples of this. Each of these have an advantage to the organism because it gives the signal to the body that something is not quite right and it's time for me to heal and repair and prepare myself for a period of time where I may not have access to A, B, or C condition. And that's actually a great growth stimulus for the human condition. So when it comes to cold water immersion, I mean, it's something that has existed like many of these practices for thousands of years, right? It's interesting that technology is now keeping pace with ancient wisdom, but we see it crop up in so many ancient practices as well. How it works, it's actually quite multiple. So at the basic level, the reduction in core temperature is beneficial, especially after an acutely stressful event like running a marathon or playing a sports match when your core body temperature naturally rises. So you do want to bring that temperature down. The second thing is that this has a important role to play because when your body is immersed in cold, the vagal tone, i.e., the part of the autonomic nervous system which is responsible for rest and digest, slowing you down, which is the opposite to fight and flight, actually increases its tonality, its action items, and that is a soothing, recovery, restful period of the body. Science and data is also suggestive that exposure to cold improves your immune system. So that old tale that we've thought about, which is, oh, don't go outside because you're going to catch a cold. Actually, you don't catch a cold from the outside. It probably is actually doing your immune system more good than harm. You're catching a cold because of the other things that are going on around you, mostly probably sitting inside with people in close proximity as virus particles are moving from one side of the room to the other, etc. So the benefits of cold water therapy are important from an inflammation perspective, and we do it a lot with athletes. It's important from a cardiovascular perspective, recovery. It's important from a immune system perspective. It's got importance, and I don't know the last time you did this, but I always find immediately when I'm in that cold water and I get out, my brain is switched on. I am ready to take on anything, right? So suddenly there's a focus and an ability for the mind to be in the moment, mindfully present. So it's an incredibly accessible, available, and honestly, one can just train the body. It's something we can habituate towards. Yeah.
What you just said, right, is that we, and you've been talking about how things are connected, and I feel that, and this kind of rings to that, is that what you do to your body physically oftentimes wires your brain a certain way, right? It's could be, you feel sluggish after having a very heavy meal, or the fact that you take a, when that cold shower hits you, come out, you have a lot more focus. And I know before we started recording, I spoke to you about the fact that I had a bit of a cold a couple of days ago, and I went for a run and came
Yeah.
in for a bunch of recordings, and I could really kind of do them well.
Yeah. Yeah.
At some level, that connection, while we talk about it, we don't talk about how seamlessly that flows from one to the other. Just from how we can be more alert, how we can have more focus. Did that make you rethink things? If it did, make sure you check out the full episode.